He thought marrying me was just a business deal. But I turned it into his worst nightmare. This is the story of how a man tried to buy my silence. And how I used his contract to burn his empire down. My name is Nila Tomson. And I was 25 when Rohan Jack walked into my life, not as a lover, not even as a boss, but as a contractor. You see, Rohan was the golden boy of Jack Enterprises, a billion-dollar real estate empire his grandfather built from scratch. And Rohan? He was entitled, reckless, and about to lose it all. The family will had one brutal clause. You must marry a woman of good standing. No scandals. No actresses. And remain married for at least 3 years. No wife, no inheritance. And with the company bleeding money, Rohan was desperate. So he came to me. The overqualified legal analyst he barely spoke to. He walked into my tiny glass cubicle, leaned against the desk like he owned the world, and said, "Marry me. 3 years. No strings. You'll live like a queen and walk away a millionaire." He offered me $10,000 a month, a private wing in his mansion, and $150,000 as a parting gift after the term. In exchange? Silence. Obedience. A smile at public events. I should have said no. But I didn't. Because sometimes, the quiet ones have a plan. I signed the papers. The mansion and the mask. The first month felt like stepping into a fairy tale. Marble floors. Chandeliers. Imported furniture I wasn't allowed to touch. My closet overflowed with silk gowns, Louboutins, designer bags I didn't ask for. In public, I was Nila Jack, the elegant wife. I smiled at cameras, shook hands at charity galas, and let photographers capture our perfect marriage. But in private? We barely spoke. Rohan partied, traveled, and came home reeking of perfume that wasn't mine. And I played my role. Quiet. Composed. Invisible. Until one evening, I opened the wrong drawer in his home office. There it was. Another NDA. Dated 6 months before ours. The woman's name? Sonal Marsh. Her role? Remain silent. Avoid the press. Continue the relationship in private. Rohan's real girlfriend. He was paying her under the table while playing husband for the will. They were planning to elope after the 3-year mark. And I was just a contract. A placeholder. He was going to dump me the day it was legal. Let me be clear. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I printed every document I found, NDAs, emails, even secret vacation receipts, and sent copies to my private cloud. Then I started listening. Watching. Learning. Because boring wives make perfect spies. After that night, I changed. I stopped acting like a guest in that mansion. And started behaving like an insider. At first, Rohan didn't notice. He was too busy vacationing in Ibiza with Sonal, under fake names, of course. But behind the scenes, I shadowed his legal meetings. Volunteered for policy reviews. And slipped into financial discussions like I belonged there. At night, when the house was quiet, I read every contract Jack Enterprises had signed in the last 10 years. Land deals. Kickbacks. Political donations. The deeper I dug, the dirtier it got. And the more powerful I became. I learned to speak in boardroom language. And I never confronted him, not yet. Because I wasn't here to win an argument. I was building a case. The leverage. By year 2, I was indispensable. I knew more about the company's legal exposure than half their executive team. Rohan still thought I was boring little Nila. The wife who stayed quiet and didn't ask questions. But I had everything. The fake land acquisitions. The falsified valuations. The under-the-table deals with shell companies run by Sonal's relatives. He had built his empire on fraud. So I packaged it all up. A neat little report titled, Jack Enterprises, Legal Risk and Internal Liability, Confidential. I sent it to one person. Rohan. And waited. That night, he kicked open my bedroom door. His face was pale. Hands trembling. You're bluffing, he said. I smiled. You didn't marry a mannequin, Rohan. You married a legal analyst with a 152 IQ and a 3-year plan. He lunged toward my laptop. Too late. Everything's backed up to encrypted servers, I said, calm as ice. You try to erase me, and your grandfather gets the file by morning. He looked at me like he'd never seen me before. Because he hadn't. He never saw the real me. Just a pretty face on a contract. He tried everything. First, he denied. Then he begged. Then he tried to seduce me, pathetic. When that failed, he offered me double. 2 crores. Right now. Just walk away. I laughed in his face. This marriage ends on my terms now. Not yours. I slid him a new contract. I become co-owner of Jack Enterprises, officially. Sonal is removed from all accounts, assets, and proxies, permanently. I get voting rights on the board. And if he ever crosses me again, the file goes to the media, the SEC, and his grandfather. He signed. And just like that, the wife he thought was decoration became his partner. But not in love. In power. From that day forward, everything changed. I stopped pretending. I stopped hiding. I started running things. I began showing up to meetings dressed not as a wife, but as a force. Black power suits. Crisp files. Cold eyes. The same men who once ignored me in boardrooms now waited for my approval. I didn't just sit beside Rohan anymore. I sat in his seat. I restructured Jack Enterprises from the inside out. Cancelled ghost contracts. Reopened shady acquisitions. Whistleblower hotlines. I created them. And Rohan? He shrank. He hated coming to the office. Because everyone knew, I wasn't his shadow anymore. I was the one in charge. Then one day, his grandfather called. Old Mr. Jack, the man behind it all. The one who thought Rohan was ready. He invited me for tea. Nila, he said, I've been watching you. You saved this company. I didn't lie to him. I showed him everything, the fake deals, the forged numbers, the offshore accounts. He sat back in his chair, stunned. If not for you, he said, this empire would have turned to ash. Then he made a quiet call. The next morning, the will was updated. Rohan Jack was officially disinherited. And I? I was named executor. Our 3rd anniversary came like a thunderstorm. Rohan tried to act normal. Bought me a necklace. Booked a reservation. I played along. Until dessert. I slid a manila envelope across the table. Divorce papers. He opened them with shaky hands. You ruined me, he said, almost whispering. I looked him dead in the eye. No, Rohan. You ruined yourself. I just made sure the wreckage was properly documented. He tried to stand. I stopped him. Sit. You'll want to hear the conditions. He walks away quietly. No press. No lawsuits. No leaks. In exchange, he gets a modest buyout, just enough to start over, far from here. He nodded. That night, he left the mansion. And I? I stood at the balcony alone, champagne in hand, watching his car disappear into the rain. I wasn't sad. I was finally free. What happened after? I turned Jack Enterprises into an ethical powerhouse. Launched a women-led real estate division. Opened single-mother housing units across the state. Built schools and scholarships under the NT Foundation. That stood for Nila Tomson. Not Mrs. Jack. Not ex-wife. Just me. The penthouse Rohan once used to hide Sonal. I bought it. Turned it into a domestic violence shelter. Sonal now runs a salon in a strip mall. She reviews my makeup line on Instagram, every week. Rohan? He manages a gym in Phoenix. Wears knockoff Rolexes and fake humility. He sometimes emails me. I still think about you. I never reply. Because I don't need closure. I don't need revenge fantasies. I don't need apologies. I got what I came for. I made my own justice. I don't believe in fairy tales. I believe in documentation. Strategy. Resilience. And silence, the kind that watches, waits, and then moves like thunder. Because the quiet ones? We don't just survive. We thrive. If you felt that power, drop a fire in the comments. Subscribe for more stories where women don't beg for love. They build empires out of betrayal. And remember, never underestimate the quiet ones. They're not broken. They're building.